Welcome to the Bluddheart podcast, episode number 9 already. What we do is talk about all things Diablo related, and I post episodes Tuesday mornings around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can find us just about anywhere you can find podcasts, from YouTube to Spotify to Stitcher Radio. This week, we're going to deep dive into starter sets for Season 18. So we're going to go through all 7 classes, talk about how they changed, and give a brief overview of each one and my thoughts and opinions going into the upcoming season. We are going to do this with our survival guides that we do. So if you're new to the channel, new to the podcast, I do these all-encompassing survival guides every single season where we take you from level 1, basically get you all the way to level 70 endgame, and just kind of show you every step of the way what to build and what to do. It's really, really great for people that have never played a certain class or you want a refresher. It could have been a couple of years since you played a certain class or build, and it's a nice all-encompassing kind of guide. And those are going to start in a few days here on the YouTube channel. So until then, let this be an introduction or an appetizer, if you will, into the starter guides, as we're going to kind of cover each one briefly here. Coming up first, we have the Raykor Charge Barb, or the Raykor Barbarian set. This is what you get with Haedrig for Season 18. Anything we talk about, it's going to be the Haedrig gift for Season 18. That way you guys know these are the starter sets. The 2-piece refunds a charge when you hit one enemy. So what it does, it gives you mobility. It buffs Furious Charge, gives you tons of utility. The 4-piece Furious Charge gains the effect of every rune, which is great, by the way. It freezes them, stuns them, essentially. And it deals 1,000% increased damage. So you have basically damn near infinite charges and 1,000% bonus to charge. It's really, really good. This will be my pick if, let's say, we had a esport 1 to 70 challenge, or 1 to 80. 1 to GR 80 as soon as the season started from level 1. Raykor might take the cake, right? Depending on RNG and drops and all that stuff. Raykor is pretty powerful, and it would be up there in terms of fast starts. Other classes would kind of pull away if you're going 1 to 100, for instance, or 1 to 110. But 1 to 80, Barb is pretty baller every single season. In addition, at level 1, you have a lot of good things. Like you can, if you guys don't know, you can make a level 1 character, a level 1 Barb. What this does, it severely reduces the item pool, and you can roll blood shards at level 1, and you can get a Band of Might. There's only 2 possible rings, so it's really easy to get the Band of Might. You can get loot socks, you can get the Hoda bracers, the seismic slam bracers at level 1. They are level 1 items, basically. Level 16 items is what they actually show up as. But you can just throw them in the cube, right? So now you have this cubed items, and you're ready to go right out the gate. So Raykor, really powerful start. The only problem is there's really no new builds for Raykor. So you have it's just Raykor Hoda is the best build. You can play classic Charge Barb or Boulder Toss. Those are still viable options. But there's really nothing new in terms of Raykor specifically. But what I would do is probably build into Lon Hoda with the Echoing Fury is really fun. Or, of course, Whirlwind Barb. You can speed with Whirlwind. So Raykor is just the means to the end, right? You can actually push with it if you like. But there's really nothing new, so I would basically play Raykor until I geared out my Lon Hoda. And when I say Lon, okay, can we nip this in the bud right now? When I say Lon, I mean the Legacy of Dreams gem. If you call things Lod, it sounds like Land of the Dead. So Lon is just Lon, right? Lon is just Legacy of Nightmares. So I don't know. Maybe the community just is going to call it Lod from now on. Whenever I say Lon, I mean Lod. And if you're confused about the two, I guess if you check the builds, then it'll show you what to use. Typically, you're going to use the gem. But in some cases, you might actually use the rings. It just depends. Oh, man. What a debate, huh? So you have a home with Whirlwind Barb. You have a home with Lon Hoda. You have a home with Leapquake. Leapquake is really powerful. We put out the tier list last week, so you can see a lot of the Barb builds are in the same category. They're all doing really well. Another thing you have a home in is group play. Every group loves Barbarians. They increase your movement speed. Z-Barbs, right? Z-Barb is like a support Barb if you guys don't know. Every group loves support Barbs, man. They give you speed, damage reduction, crowd control, immunity. They're just really awesome. They can spawn globes. They can pull chain. set the tone, set the pace for any group. So you have a lot of variety. You have group synergy. The only downside is you don't really have like a badass build that's S tier or even an A tier build. That's the only downside. I guess B tier is still around GR 130, so it's still really, really good. You just don't have one of those standout builds that you just kind of feel like an extreme Son Goku kind of build, right? You don't have this thing where you feel like One Punch Man. You just feel like a normal superhero. I don't know if that makes sense. Coming up next, we have the Akan Crusader set for the Haedrig gift for season 18. Now, this doesn't have group synergy like Barbs do, but what it loses in group synergy, it makes up for variety. So this set just screams like variety. I mean, you could literally build this a multitude of ways, and the set itself gives you all kinds of options. So the 2-piece reduces the cost of all abilities. So right away, you have just crazy reduced cost resource. So you can basically use anything. The 4-piece reduces the cooldown of Akrad's Champion. Akrad's Champion can give you an extra life if you use the Prophet rune. Akrad's Champion gives you more resource and a damage increase. So it's just really good all around. The 6-piece gives you just a generic 1500% damage boost and a 50% damage reduction. So, and even the set itself has an amulet slot. You can literally wear the Akan set, the new AUG set that got buffed, the Captain Crimson, Focus and Restraint, and a weapon set too. I mean, you can fit so many sets with the Akan. It's funny, hilarious, and you really feel like you're min-maxing with this set, right? You can use Blessed Shield, you can use Condemn, you can use Thorns. There's just a multitude of things. You can use even Sweepsater if you want, especially early on. Like whatever multiplier you get while leveling will buff you with the Akan set. And that's just a really good thing. Just variety is the spice of life, right? It's almost like you have a lawn season when you play the Akan set and you get more stuff. So you get the damage buff, but you also get other tools that you can use. If you want to move out of Akan, then, more variety. You can play Invoker. You can play Blessed Shield, Lawn Blessed Shield. I think we talked about Condemn. You can play all kinds of things. And a lot of these new Roland's one of my favorite builds of the PTR. A lot of these use the Captain Crimson set or AUG guilds. Just new things that are fun. And Lawn Holy Shotgun, which is one of my favorite builds too. It's like a reflect damage build. Lots of different options with the Akan set. And again, it's like variety is the spice of life. If you're playing solo, or you have just your friends play like chill GRs, this is a really good start and a really good class overall. So we covered 2 classes, the Raykor Barb and the Akan Crusader. Both are really good out of the gate and both are flexible, mobility, damage. Even at level 1, you can roll like shields like with Crusader. And again, we're going to get into all this in depth and I'll show a visual representation for the survival guides like I do every season. But the next one we have is the Marauder set for Demon Hunter. So Marauder's kind of slow, okay? If you don't know, with the Marauder set, you have to set up your sentries. So, and then when you zone into another level, you have to then set up your sentries again. But let's say you get lucky and get a Yang's Recurve Bow, you can actually play multi-shot with Marauder and it makes it pretty fast. You can drop 1 or 2 sentries, and the addition of Yang's Recurve allows you to do incredible damage. So the 2-piece allows all the companions to your side. So you get the Boar Companion, you get the Spiders, which slow the mobs, which it kind of, you have Thrill the Hunt and Cull the Weak. It kind of procs Thrill the Hunt for you in a way because it slows them. And then when they're CC'd, Cull the Weak does more damage. So you get all the companions, you get the Boar for the life regen and the resistances. It makes you a little tanky. And then the 4-piece sentries deal 400% increased damage for every time you cast like Elemental Arrow, Chakram Impale, Multi-Shot, or Cluster Arrow. So like Akan, it covers a lot of abilities. It doesn't cover every ability, but Chakram, Impale, Multi-Shot, Cluster Arrow, Elemental Arrow is basically everything. So again, there's a lot of flexibility here. The only downside is you have to set up your turrets. And this kind of makes waiting till you can roll a Bombarder's Rucksack kind of appealing. So if you save your blood shards till around, let me look at the quiver. I think it's around 34 or so. there's a good chance you can get the rucksack. Or if you just get it while leveling organically, it's pretty nice because, you'll have that extra sentries and you get extra damage per sentry. So it synergizes nicely. A really powerful set, it's just slow, right? And in this season, of course, let's say you play Marauder multi-shot, you can transition to Unhallowed Essence multi-shot, which is, in my opinion, A tier build, really, really powerful. And the thing is UE multi-shot can take advantage of the Squirt's Necklace. They can take advantage of the Captain Crimson set, which gives you more damage reduction. And it's like 150% damage increase. It's actually insane. This might be my main. I might have a duo main between Lawn Wave of Light and UE multi-shot. They're both kind of have the same main stat and share a lot of the same items. So I'm really excited about that. Also, you can play Shadow. Shadow can use Auguild set, or they can use the Captain Crimson set. Really powerful. Also, you can still play N6 M4. You can play other builds like Lawn Rapid Fire Demon Hunter. Lots of options. I guess this day and age, there's more options than there's ever been, right? Back in the day, there was 1 or 2 builds you can play. Now every class has a multitude of builds. To put it in perspective, in the top 10 right now, North America, there's 3 different Barb builds in the top 10. There's 3 different Crusader builds in the top 10. And there's 2 different Demon Hunter builds in the top 10. So these are the 3 classes that we talked about, and they have multitude of builds in the top 10. So it's really awesome. I just love variety, and it keeps it fresh for me and fun. I get to try new builds, and you don't feel so gimped playing something that's a little bit weaker because it's around the same power level anyway. So if Barb is the king of groups because they can support like bosses, and a Khan is maybe the king of variety, Demon Hunter is probably the king of bounties, I guess. I would say multi-shot in general is the fastest bounty build in the game, and it might be a contender for the fastest GR 100 speed in the game as well. It's definitely up there in terms of the fastest GR 100 clears. So like if you're farming your own Paragon, if you're playing solo, it's a really, really good option for you. Coming up next, we have the Monk Inez set for Season 18. The 2-piece increases the passive effect of your Mystic ally and the base effect of your mantra by 100. So this set buffs your allies, buffs your mantras. Even the 4-piece gives you the effect of all the mantras. So the mantras give you damage, movement speed, dodge, all resist. They make you tanky, kind of like the Marauder set we just talked about. You get access to all your pets. You get access to like your pets and stuff, I guess, and your mantras with the Inez set. And the 6-piece, you get a bunch of damage, and you can literally use any multiplier. It's a very general purpose set. You can mix in like Wave of Light with Inez, LTK with Inez works really well. I built one a few seasons ago. You can even use like a generator build for Inez. So I'll include, I'll update all my builds for the season. You can check the tier list if you want to see the actual builds and stuff. But a really good set, really well-rounded, and it's an A-tier set. It's up there with Sun Wukong Wave of Light, in my opinion. It's tankier than Wukong, and Wukong does slightly more damage, but I put him in that same tier. So this is a good start out the gate. The only problem is a lot of people say Inez is so fast, but Monk is really challenging getting the gear. So there's like a bunch of fist weapons, and they all have double like RNG. Like you have to get the fist weapon, and then you have to get the right stats. And then the secondary is varied. You have to get the right secondary with a lot of them. So there's a lot of like things that you need versus like Barb is good out the gate. A Khan can wear anything. So Inez kind of needs everything a little bit. It's a little bit more particular, which is fine because, different flavors make things more interesting. But it is a good set. It is a strong start. And I would recommend maybe going LTK. I'm going to update my build, and I'll have it in the starter section once the starter builds are out. And that'll get you guys a nice start for the season. You can play Inez Wave of Light. I would eventually build into Lawn Wave of Light, which again might be one of my mains next season. This is the fastest key farming build in the game. Actually completely insane if you haven't tried it. So we talked about the benefits of the other classes. The Inez is probably the king of key farm, or the Wave of Light in general is the king of key farm. But one thing I guess it's not the king of is variety. Like Monk really suffers from low variety. I do have a Tempest Rush build that you can check out. I built it for next season. You can play LTK, but it's hard to use LTK in Echoing Fury you do run out of resource very quickly. You can play other things like Gen Monk. It's just really Wave of Light is by far stronger than everything. You can play U6, Juliana 6 is probably the closest build. So I guess I could scale back a second and say you can play Juliana's or you can play Wave of Light. But I think Lan Wave of Light is literally A tier with the potential of hitting S tier. It's so powerful. So that's pretty much been the story of Monk the last couple years is Wave of Light just dominates so hard that it doesn't really make anything else viable. Even though there is viable options, you just feel bad playing something when you have something like that's God mode, you know? Like Barb though, you're needed in groups, and for the pushing meta, Monk is amazing with Z-Monk, Support Monk. And 2-man, it's been one of the best support for 2-man since you're kind of like, you pull the mobs in and you provide damage reduction. And if you want crowd control immunity and healing, you're like an all-in-one single parent support. You don't have like the pulling power that Barb has from a long range, but you can still pull mobs on top of you. Monk is amazing support for 2s, 3s, and 4s. So it's the best for pushing, and it's tied with Barb for pushing, I guess. But yeah, you get it, right? You need Monk for groups, and Monk also has badass build with Wave of Light. It just suffers from a lack of variety. For the level 1 Blood Shard items, I'd probably go for the LTK boots. That's pretty powerful. Overall, you can also go for bracers. You can get some cool stuff like Pinos Pride, Gundo Gear, or Caesar's Memento, which just synergizes great with Inez since it's buffs everything. It's a buff everything set, so it works out cool. Coming up next, we have the Pestilence Necromancer. It's going to be the Haedrig gift for Season 18. This build's pretty fast, pretty furious. If you want to dominate T16, you're probably going to use like Fluff's Blood and Essence Necro. It's in my tier list, so you can check it out. You basically have perma uptime on Land of the Dead, and you will fall behind though. Like, this is the only thing about it is it's dope, especially if you're playing solo. If you're playing in a group setting, you're probably going to have to play old school Blight Spear or somehow try to fit in Stewart's Greaves, because there's no way you're going to keep up with monks, demon hunters, wizards. Like, they're just moving so fast and you're losing too much by sacrificing this new version of the build. But the build's really fun. Having perma Land of the Dead feels amazing, and I really enjoy the playstyle. I put it up there in the A tier. I think it definitely has the potential to be around a solo 135 clear. Not only that, you can play in groups. The Pestilence Support Necromancer is really good for rat runs, which is probably going to be the meta for next season. It's really good for even with wizards. I played with Necromancers a lot as the wizard speed runs. It's good in the push build. You'd play like a Rift Guardian killing Necromancer at a super high level endgame. So lots of variety with pushing, kind of. You have Lawn Singularity, which buffs the mages. You have Lawn Corpse Lance, which is buffs Corpse Lance. You have Thorns Necromancer, and then you have the new thing, the Pestilence Necromancer. You can also play the Death Nova type build, but it's really fallen behind to everything else. But it's still there for you to play, or like the generator, the Inarius generator build is still there. You can play it. It just feels like it's falling behind. If you don't know about the Pestilence set, each corpse you consume fires a corpse lance at a nearby enemy. So whenever you're using like Devour or Corpse Explosion, it's using corpses and it's shooting out little corpse lances at enemies. So it gives you more wave clear than the other like corpse lance builds. And then the 4-piece, each enemy you hit with Bone Spear, Corpse Lance, or Corpse Explosion reduces your damage. So you have like a damage reduction, and you have some wave clear with the 4-piece. The GR20 clear was pretty easy. And another good thing about Necro is there is only 4 different one-handed scythes and 4 two-handed scythes. So you have a really high chance. You have a guaranteed chance to get a multiplier if you upgrade a two-hander. Since all 4 of them give you a multiplier, it's impossible to get one that's useless, right? So all in all, you're good solo, you're good in groups, you're good at speed farming, you're good at supporting pretty much anything. The Necro's solid overall. I guess the downside is it's really squishy build, and I feel like in a 4-player speed farm, you might fall behind with Pestilence. So play Singularity. If you play Lawn Singularity, you can actually keep up with the group a lot easier. But all in all, it's pretty solid overall. Bounties is chill. For level 1 blood shards, you can get those Corpse Explosion gauntlets that give you a multiplier, Or you can even go for a Leoric's Crown, because Necros need cooldown on every build, basically. Cooldown, cooldown, cooldown. Sacrifice everything. Crit damage, vitality, main stat. Sacrifice whatever you can, because cooldown is king, especially for Pestilence early game. One thing I wanted to talk about was the Sage set. So they added a belt, so that's cool. So you can use the Sage set with Necro and any other class like Barb, like Waste set. There's a belt now. It's great. In addition, you train it for free when you get to your blacksmith to level 12. Like, you can start crafting Sage set as soon as you hit level 12. It's automatically learned going forward. And what this does, it allows us to get those DBs early on. It's really powerful. But what it does is, like right out the gate, when you get your 6-piece, some builds can actually wear the Sage set and the 6-piece and not need Ring of Royal Grandeur. Those builds are like Akan and Zuni. So that's what we're talking about next is Zuni. Zuni can actually rock like a Sage set right from the beginning, and they're full 6-piece because they have like an offhand, they have a ring, they have all these off pieces, and it doesn't really affect like the main set pieces of the build. So Zuni's cool, man. For Zuni, you're probably going to focus on either pets or you're going to focus on Dagger of Darts. They're both really powerful. You both can use Sage sets, like we said, and there's lots of variety in general. The 2-piece Zuni, your fetish army lasts until they die, and the cooldown of your fetish army is reduced by 80%. The 4-piece is a damage reduction for every fetish you have alive, and then the 6-piece gives you general damage. It buffs your pets, actually. Enemies hit by your mana spenders increase the damage from your pets. So it's really good overall. I would say Zuni's flexible. You can build it a multitude of ways. It transitions nicely to Lawn, Dagger of Darts, or like a Helltooth pet build if you want to go that route and use the Spite. The speed build is mid-tier, not bad. You are not really used in groups, so Witch Doctor's been kind of left out in groups. But the Lawn Carnival build I talked about is literally S tier, super powerful. If you don't know about Lawn Dagger of Dart or Lawn Carnival, whichever you call it, Lawn Carne Asada, right? Echoing Fury is going to be able to proc off pet kills and a kill assist. So you're going to have this crazy 75% attack speed steroid built into Lawn Dagger of Darts. It's crazy powerful. I think it's enough to send it over the top to the S tier. And you have the Squirt's Necklace giving you 100% damage increase. So Witch Doctor is going to be nutty for solo, and it's really good for bounties. For key farming, it's pretty fast, but it's going to fall behind a lot of the top tier builds. So I'd recommend using like our Jade Chicken Dock that we talked about on our tier list video. You can probably, or I think I talked about it in one of my videos, but you can see it on my Diablo fans page. For level 1 blood shards, you can roll a Gazing Demise, so at least you get a multiplier. We did test the Gazing Demise. I was able to farm T6 with no gear, just like level 1, and I jumped right into T6, and we farmed there till like level 10. Pretty powerful stuff. The Gazing Demise is basically like a multiplier, and there's only one mojo that you can even get with level 1 blood shards, right? Again, if you make a level 1 character or you roll your blood shards at level 1, you're able to significantly reduce the item pool, right? The number of items that are available at level 1 is way different than at level 70. There's like 1 or 2 rings at level 1. By the time you hit 70, there's like 22 rings. So that's the difference. And if you're wondering, yo, Bludd, how do I get blood shards at level 1? You want to save your challenge rift the week of the season. You can't do it. You can't do it ahead of time. You can't stack it. You literally have to create your seasonal character and then do the challenge rift and then go collect your bag. And then boom, you have DS breaths, you have bounty materials, gold. This is about 4.9 million gold. You have a lot of stuff. Check out my challenge rift video on the channel if you want to know more in depth about that. Coming up next, we have my favorite class, the Wizard. Harry, you're a wizard, man. The DMO set is really slow, man. They have to be affected by the bubble for them to take the bonus damage, okay? So it's kind of annoying. It's kind of obnoxious, but there is a lot of ways you can play it and push with it. You can use like a Spectral Blade. You can use a Frozen Orb. DMO is strong. If you're on console, you can use Twister Wizard DMO. It's really strong, actually, and you should have no problem pushing with it. It's just really slow, like how Marauder has to set up their sentries. you have to set up your bubbles, right? They have to be affected by the bubble to take the crazy damage. So if you don't know, casting Arcane Orb, Energy Twister, Explosive Blast, Magic Missile, Shock Pulse, Spectral Blade, Wave of Force reduces the cooldown of slow time by 3 seconds. So you're going to have the bubble up always with the 2-piece. And the 4-piece, you get a damage reduction just by having the bubble active. So you don't have to be in the bubble, you just have to be on the map. And then the 6-piece, they take bonus damage when they're inside the bubble. You will get through it if you decide to play DMO. I actually mained DMO, or I started DMO one of the seasons where we had it for Haedrig. You'll get through it, okay, I promise. We'll make nice survival guides and make things as easy as possible for everybody. The light is at the end of the tunnel, so when you do get out of DMO, Tal Rasha is really flexible. Tal Rasha Meteor Shower is back, stronger than ever. You have Bazooka Wizard, which is S tier power. You have the Veer's Archon Wizard, which is S tier power. 2 of the 4 S tier builds are wizard builds, so there is hope there. While not as fast as Rat runs, you can play like the Veer speed meta, which is what I did in season 17. It's super powerful and stronger than it was last season because you have the rings and there's other toys like Squirt's necklace you can probably factor in. It's really powerful stuff. Wizard's up there. For speeds, you're going to be using like Tal Rasha, Frozen Orb, Lawn Frozen Orb. Veer's is incredibly fast like we talked about. You're not even really worried about your Chantoto stacks because even a 0-stack Chantoto is going to kill everything on T16. That's how powerful Chantoto is. If you're building up your stacks, you're doing it wrong, man. You just got to pop your Archon and the pulses just destroy everything. So a quick recap. Barb is the king of support. Crusader is the king of variety. Demon Hunter is the king of bounties. Monk is the king of support and I guess you could say key farm. Pestilence, so Necromancers are the king of solo, Rift Guardian killing. Witch Doctors might be the solo push kings. They're in the S tier, possibly. And then another solo push king might be Wizard with the Bazooka Wizard and Veer's Wizard. In addition, they are the king of wave clear. So they're so strong at wave clear in groups with Star Pact. And even before that, we would use like Meteor Shower and stuff like that. So Star Pact's been around since season 12 and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. So they have a nice spot in the game. Everybody kind of has their niche, so what they're really good at. And they all have tons of different variety builds to push with. For level 1 blood shards, you don't have that many options. I'd probably hold off my blood shards till I can get the Edge Sigil or something like that because there's not really that many good options at level 1, but you could use Ash Nagars for the shields. You can even try to go for a Squirt's necklace if you want it. All the Squirt's necklaces drop while leveling, so keep an eye out for that. You can throw them in the cube. You will be taking 50% more damage, but you're going to be doing 100% increased damage when you're not taking damage. So keep an eye out for the Squirts. They're really powerful. Again, we have the guides coming. This is just meant to kind of wet your guys' whistle in the meantime to like kind of give you an overview of the classes and what to expect and what's changed and all that stuff. So hopefully I did a good job elaborating on it. A lot of it boils down to, are you going to play solo? Do you have to farm your Paragon solo? Are you going to play in group play? And that goes the same way with augments, right? Are you in a group? Then your augments are going to be higher. Are you solo? Your augments are going to be lower. Or are you playing a non-meta build? Then you have to, curb your expectations even lower than that. So you have to be flexible with your game time and what you're doing in the game. That just about does it for the starter sets. I'm going to get into a few community questions and one suggestion that I got during the week. So a lot of people ask me, yo Bludd, what's up with the hardcore tune? What are you doing with your with Demon Hunter? So I haven't posted hardcore episodes because I've been grinding out augments and I hate posting episodes of me just mindlessly grinding augments. So what you will see is one final episode on YouTube. We got our augments done now. We're going to do one final push, Wheel of Death, Bonanza, and we're going to push until we rip basically. So the next hardcore episode should be pretty nutty. We got like 70 to 80 augments. We're just going to throw them on and see what we can accomplish for a nice end of the season run here. One thing someone said was the Legacy of Dream Gem should be the second gem that drops every season. So if you guys don't know, the first legendary gem you get every season is the Bane of the Powerful, which gives us a 20% damage increase. So one of the suggestions was, we should get the Dream Gem as the second gem, and then that way we can start Haedrig every season, or we can start Lon. So like in this current season, I didn't even use my Haedrig. I just used the lawn start. I just started grinding until I got ancients, and then I got, an ancient buff, and then I got another one, then I got another buff. And the Dream Gem is really good. Legacy of Dream buffs even legendaries that you have. So you know how there's like a first tier, and then when you get to gem level 25, there's a second tier. So I was you're actually able to even use regular legendaries to get a damage increase. So that would be a good suggestion. So Blizzard, if you're listening, make it happen. I think that would be great for the game. It'd be a nice leveling curve or character progression curve every season to get the the Dream Gem second. Whew. Sorry if the episode sounds a little weird. I've been fighting a sickness. came down on Sunday night. Came down with something. I had like a crazy stomach ache and fever. But yeah, that's one reason why the starter videos got delayed too, because I just felt like crap on Sunday. So on my day off, but I did have fun. We did some stuff. I went drinking, and maybe that was it. Had some bad food, I guess, and went to see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'd recommend it. It was a good time. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It's like a horror show, but it's PG-13. It's kind of like the Goosebumps or Stranger Things. It's a good time. I'd recommend it. 10 out of 10. Anyway, if you'd like to support the podcast, you can always subscribe on Twitch, on Patreon, on YouTube. You can leave a comment, leave a review on any of the podcast platforms. It helps me out tremendously. Pretty much anywhere, any kind of support. You can just buy GG supplements and use code Bludd. You can buy Cyber Power and use code Bludd. All that stuff helps no matter what you do. Even just liking the YouTube video. Likes help so much. For some reason, YouTube loves likes nowadays. And they always change their algorithm. So 1 week it's likes, and 1 week it's watch time, or a combination of both. But I really do appreciate all the support I get on the channel, the podcast, everywhere. You guys allow me to do what I do. And I really, really do appreciate it. But I'm going to go grab some medicine. Hopefully I'm going to edit this podcast and I don't sound too crazy. Hopefully it sounds good, right? Look for the starter guides. I'm going to try to make them really good this time around, even better than before. Anyways, this is the Bloodshed, and I'm out of here. Peace.